Hello everyone and welcome to Final Show. I'm John, the executive producer here, and I've just got a few pre-show notes for you. First of all, I want to let everybody know that our addresses have changed. Our Twitch channel has changed from Senstaku to twitch.tv/FinalShowFilms, and our YouTube channel has also changed to youtube.com/FinalShowFilms. Next, we want to thank our $20 tier supporters on Patreon, which is patreon.com/FFilms, by the way, if you want to go throw a couple bucks our way. That's going to be Cat Waterflame, Antitonic, Samantha Bates, and Maureen Monty. Thank you guys for that. Also, our website is in the process of getting updated, so go take a look at finalshowfilms.com. We've got Mara and Jeremy are working on updating all of our stuff there, making it look nice and like a modern website, and frankly, they know what they're doing far better than I or Austin ever did. So if you want to check out the things that are changing over there, you go do that. Follow us on Twitter at Final Show Films for updates for all future things, including things that are going on with our website and going on with the Patreon page, and things that are going on live as we stream them, as well as our podcasts and everything else. So thank you very much for watching. Y'all have a good day.
Cut a lot of it. They left Trapper. So yeah. The Hawkeye could play off of.
But then I can't remember his name.
Did we turn microphones on or do a sound?
Yeah, we turned them on. We did an extensive sound.
Trapper was good.
I mean, this is the opening conversation they're hearing.
That's fine.
But
yeah.
the MASH movie was not good.
No, the MASH movie was not good. But it came first, so.
Yes, I know, which is weird.
But hello, everyone.
Hi.
Are we here?
Oh, we're here now.
Hello.
So real quick, before we get started into the intros, we understand that there's probably a slight buzzing noise you guys are hearing somewhere in the background, and that our editors are listening to, even as I'm talking about it, trying to cut it out around my words. Ha 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 ha. But we have isolated what the cause of that buzzing sound is. It is our soundboard,
which is not something that we are capable of fixing in the immediate sense.
Yeah.
It's me, I suppose.
It's a difficult thing to replace. Well, to be clear, either it's the soundboard or it's all of our XLR cables or both. So, we are going to be working. That's a long thing to fix.
We're going to do it later,
and that'll be done later. So just bear with us. Apologize for the audio quality. I understand that this is consistently always our worst sounding show here at Final Show Films.
Which is weird, given you think the one where everyone's in the same room
will be the best sounding show. It's not. We apologize. Well, progress is progress.
It's a slow march. But welcome back to the season finale of the Warcraft RPG campaign Storm, Earth, Fire.
Welcome back to the season finale.
Yes.
As if the last one was also season finale.
Yes.
It was the
It
penultimate
was like
episode.
part
20.
1. It was like
It should be welcome
the
back
ends.
for the season.
Yeah, because I remember the last episode ended with the close of the siege on Orgrimmar. Not the siege of Orgrimmar. That's a different thing that people know about because of the Warcraft universe.
So this is the finale part 2. That was finale part 1.
It wasn't the siege of Orgrimmar. It was a siege of Orgrimmar.
Yes. But
Well, an invasion and a siege, but
Like how there are like 4,000 invasions of Normandy, but it's only like the invasion of Normandy.
Regardless,
But-
let's invade Orgrimmar.
joining me today for the season finale, we have Stan.
Uh-oh. I'm going to play Josh. He's the taker of the Goblin Tinker.
And Zach.
I'm Zach. I'm playing Leaf Ironmender, half-orc priest with Holy Light. I'm also a tinker person, you know.
And Rudy will be here later. He's just running late because of Dragon Con, so he'll be here in a bit.
yes, I make sure.
It's easy to like about.
So Rudy and anyone that wants to break in can get into the house.
Sweet.
Sure.
The address is 555.
Example Street.
Ottawa, Canada. And Austin.
Yo, I'm a troll, and I have some tech friends.
The character's name is Jack Hall, by the way.
Nobody cares.
And
No, one person does care.
the DM, yes. And Holly.
I'm Holly. I am Shiana something.
Flame Carver.
Flame Carver. I wanted to say Orc
Characters are better
Finder,
than
but
That's a different show.
Shiona Blinker, she's a rogue
Don't know what
assassin.
to say,
I didn't mean it like that at all, but she's a rogue assassin.
I feel like I've missed something.
You didn't mean it that way, but I took it that way.
Of course you did.
It's okay, Austin. You continue to miss it over there.
That's what I do, man.
Holly is also one arm today, but it's the wrong arm.
I'm sorry, I'll try to injure the other one next time, so I can be more in character.
Next time
fixed
won't
it.
be that character, so...
And John.
I'm John. I'm playing Garrick Cloudspeaker, the orc spirit champion. I can never say spirit champion because this is paladin right here, and spirit champion's a subclass, but that's not the thing. So, next time we come back, we're playing Shadowrun rules.
Do a Warcraft campaign in Shadowrun rules. That would be actually really interesting. But,
It'll be easier for the Tinkers.
you know, roll a cyber war check. Roll me a biotech. But, when last we left off, there had been an invasion of Orgrimmar by the Twilight's Hammer after a distraction in which the Black Knight, the champion of Deathwing, attacked the Spike Ridge Fort by himself to challenge the war chief, facing the group of you and being forced to retreat, leaving behind
I got his sword.
Leaving behind his sword, the Black Dragon Blade. It's a pretty nice sword.
You know, I'm literally the only person strong enough to wield it in the party.
And after beating off after forcing the Dragon Knight to retreat, the group rushed into Orgrimmar to defend.
Is it two-handed sword?
I mean, yes, it is.
I'm just saying you have this instrument.
I thought you were going to vote.
Maybe I just looked at my two.
That'd be it. I have my constitution.
It was some stuff.
Yeah.
One for a strength boost.
She's been working that arm.
That's the wrong arm.
She's working that arm.
Right now it's
But
left will represent the right today.
after rushing in to defend the city of Orgrimmar, the group split into two groups. One went to try and save as many people from civilian sectors as they could, leading a Gron that had been brought into the city under Twilight control out into the drag where it could be brought down with siege weaponry. And another group went to check on the orphanage, which was under attack by rampaging elementals. The group having defeated those elementals and helped to save the children of the orphanage from the burning building.
Yeah, I've still got 16 hit points, by the way.
Congratulations, guys! You saved children from a burning orphanage.
Yay! We're
I like how you say that like it's not like congratulations, you saved kids from a burning I guess. These guys fought a Gron, but you saved some kids.
It's like the staple heroic act that everyone does at some point somehow. Like
I saved
it's
these kids from the burning orphanage. But why were you around there with a butane torch in the first place?
it's like something on the hero's checklist, like save children from burning orphanage.
Rescue damsel in distress.
Yeah.
Save children.
But
Make my teeth do that little sparkle thing.
ding.
I'm sure there's a cantrip that will do that. Thaumaturgy or prestidigitation.
Prestidigitation, yeah.
Or light. Cantrip light. Cantrip that can do that.
My teeth are a torch.
I mean, light does imbue a thing you touch with light, so you just touch your teeth and just smile. You have a brilliant smile.
My teeth are a torch.
Someone's gonna do that. Some bard's gonna do that.
I know. There was a game where there was a spell.
Hey, you have a shuttered bullseye lantern. You just gotta close your mouth and it goes away, and then you.
There was a game where there was a spell where you smiled and the glare from your teeth was literally so bright it blinded your enemies momentarily.
I'm just casting blindness by smiling.
That sounds like something Jim Dark Magic would do from Acquisitions
It's
Incorporated.
called Erasmus's Amazing Razzle Dazzle.
Give them the old
Razzle dazzle, razzle dazzle 'em.
Oh no.
Hero's Quest. It's
It
a
sounded
great
like
game.
a Hero's Quest.
Yes, it's definitely. I should clarify Quest for Glory because some people actually think of the board game Heroes Quest and they're going, what the pony are you talking about?
Row after row will grow close.
Tonight we'll be putting on the direction of Chicago.
But
The interesting
Did
is we
we have the rights to that yet?
Apparently I have to play everything.
I'm playing
over.
Jail Warden. Thank you very much. I'll talk about spicing ragu and all that other stuff.
so
I can see Austin cast at the moment.
some things are not wrong. So you rejoin
Not
the party.
nearly as well as my older brother could.
I just,
Oh, man.
so long as I'm Billy Flynn, that's the only one.
Taylor is Big Mama. Oh,
No.
That's a scary jail.
I mean, I think she's an alto though, and he's soprano, so that may cause some problems.
Your bass.
He can do.
I mean, he can do alto.
He has a good enough
He can
range.
do
He can
alto.
probably get away with it.
But yeah, we rejoin the party in the closing moments of this invasion, as elementals are being banished back to their plane, as the massive Grond that had somehow been brought into the city has been quelled, as invading forces are being put down,
You'll have a knife. Ran to my fist.
with
Ten times.
the rallying of the war chief returning, gathering the forces of the Horde military and pushing back Twilight's hammers. But
Shauna, why is there a head on your claw? It's a warning shot.
But it's definitely been a costly battle. You can see not just the bodies of the Twilight's Hammer piled high, but some of this strike was directed at civilians, at people who are not traditionally combatants, and the death toll was not insignificant, as there are a number of those who did not survive this evening.
Are Shauna's parents say?
Yeah, your parents are military.
Okay, just making sure.
I mean, to be fair, most everyone in the Horde is military.
I'll tell you,
It's
we
just
have
not
civilians.
It's just not everyone stays military. Got it.
I need to look up how to spray for spiders.
With a vacuum cleaner.
But if we keep them for 2 more months, then it adds to the Halloween decor.
Yes.
Only if you specifically put their heads in the subwoof. Which, by the way, it's called a subroof even though it's above us, and it's above the roof.
Because it's a roof on a sublevel.
No, it's above the ceiling. It's below the roof. Like your attic.
It's called a subfloor. It's a subfloor.
That's a subfloor because it's below the actual floor.
It's a weird space, we're saying. When you have drop ceilings.
It's a spider pit.
I mean, yes.
But as you
Just take a grenade, throw it up there, close it off.
as you take a moment to rest and collect yourselves, you see people gathering the bodies of the fallen for burning.
Clean up.
Leaf.
Pickpockets.
I seem to have dropped a lot of my blood.
Roll me a sleight of hand.
Shauna's confused. How do I put it back?
I just pointed at Leaf.
He can.
If you can walk, you're already better than half the people around here.
19.
I'm pretty certain I'm only walking because I'm the boost.
You manage to
Kind of.
play dice. You guys are right here.
They're scooping
No,
up
your dice
blood,
might be out here.
pushing it into the wounds.
These might be your dice here.
I don't
No,
think
those
it
are-
works
Oh,
that way.
I mean, considering I'm probably wherever I can do the most good, like treating people who are injured or whatnot. So
You manage to. It's mostly a civilian crowd that's among the dead, so they don't have a ton of money. But you do manage to get over the course of the sneaking some gold here, some silver there. You manage to gather about 66 gold.
You bump into another goblin doing the same thing.
Then I get more.
Or no, times 10, 660 gold.
Bodies are just like loot boxes, right? You never know what you're gonna get.
you bump into a goblin, suddenly you find out, wait a second, this isn't my wallet. Where'd my wallet go? I had his wallet.
You both picked each other's wallets.
While looting the corpses.
Okay.
You're gonna find a place to sit down and bleed.
Yeah, bleed over there.
16 hit points out of 124. Like I said, they seem to have dropped my blood.
As you look around, whoever would like to roll me either investigation or perception.
I'm not gonna roll investigation.
I feel like it's mostly going to be perception because I think this is an investigatory party.
I mean, I'm not a perception party either. It's a 3.
16.
Is that perception?
That's investigation.
22.
22%.
Natural 20.
Perception?
To clarify, natural 20 would be a 26.
Nice.
A 3 would be a 3.
I think for maybe 2. On perception. That's why I don't do perception.
On either of those, a 3 would be a 3.
25 investigation.
Nice. So, most of you notice Garrick is too busy tending to his wounds and too busy bleeding.
Yeah. That's okay.
But
I'm too busy picking cookies.
as you look around, you notice that there was a lot of civilian casualties. This attack seems, on the surface, to have largely been focused on the civilians, but what you with your 25 and you with your high perceptions notice that there's actually a lot of bodies piled around the gates to the Valley of Honor, which is where the old site of Grommesh Hold was at previously, and is now the major barracks of Bordermont. And with your investigation, you realize that is because the actual purpose of this attack was to attempt to behead the Korkron, the elite guard, the people who basically run and operate the military side of the Horde, a single decapitating stroke that would have basically rendered the Horde military leaderless, especially if the attack on the force unit succeeded. But you notice that you would surmise that the attacks on the civilians were meant to draw military forces that disperse them throughout the city so they wouldn't be in any one concentrated place, so that they could take the hold and use it to basically decapitate the Horde military. But that does not seem to have worked out as you sort of look around, and you can see, walking among the bodies piled around the Valley of Honor, there are 7 of these individuals, each of them stripped completely from the waist up, wearing long, flowing, sort of maneuverable pants with waist armor, the Sashimono of the Horde standing high above their backs, and each of them carrying these long, full blades. These 7 blade masters of the Horde seem to have done most of the work in holding the Korkron fortress in the Valley of Honor. And each of them is covered in lacerations and blood, but you're not certain how much of that blood is their own, how much of that is the blood of their enemies.
Like
Among them, you see the 2 that stand out as being the most like they've been through the thickest of the battle. Whether or not they're the most injured themselves is hard to tell, just because of how drenched they are in blood. There is a old but still powerful-looking blade master with the long white beard that reaches down to about mid-chest.
We've met him.
You have
They have too.
in passing.
No, we did a thing.
Yeah, you did.
Samuro?
It's definitely Samuro.
Yeah.
The long white beard and the lengthy white braid, and the other one is significantly younger looking. Black, short cut beard, black ponytail, stretches to about mid back. A much fiercer, angry look in his eyes as he sort of wanders the battlefield, looking intensely at the bodies of the enemies laying around, sort of scanning for anyone who might still be moving.
Can I gather up some of those Elementeum daggers? Or whatever it's called?
Yeah.
Whatever the material's called.
Elementeum, yeah.
I'm also intrigued by these Elementine. They're daggers for the most part.
They're mostly concealable weapons, daggers.
I want to gather up 5 of them at the very least.
I'm intrigued by the daggers as well. Make them into spears, I'm sure.
Project I want to try.
Elementium itself, none of them are enchanted. They're just forged from Elementium.
Yeah.
Which you're not certain of the exact properties, but you do know it's heavy.
Actually, I'm going to gather up, if I can, 10 of them. Because I want to have enough to do a test run before I actually try the actual thing.
Go ahead. Yeah, you can probably gather around 10. Number of bodies. Most of them are being gathered up by the military, but you can scratch 10.
Yeah.
I'm only looking for like 3 or 4. Do they seem to have any special properties?
Aside from being very heavy, it's hard.
Like, I'll hit one into a rock.
It's incredibly durable. It's very heavy, very durable.
Doing more damage to the rock than I would expect.
It holds an edge very well. It didn't take any damage from the rock. How much it didn't seem that impressive by itself. You imagine if they have some kind of special material advantage, it's not something you can figure out being a non-magic user.
Cool. This would not make practical for like armor, from what I can tell.
It would be incredibly heavy.
Okay.
That said, the plate that the champion that you were fighting was wearing seemed like it was made from this material as well.
But based on my holding of this, that would mean that plate is absurd, like impractically heavy.
Oh yeah, like just taking a guess, that plate is obnoxiously heavy.
What's the damage I take for activating the black dragon?
3d6 spell damage.
Okay, I'm gonna just sit here and take as long of a rest as I can take while Leaf is healing people.
Mostly I'm just trying to stabilize people as much as I can. I'll probably end up using both of my uses of Channel Divinity to, do the mass healing thing. That sounds like it would be useful.
Yeah, I'm just gonna, however long, if it seems like nobody's like coming to talk to us, I'm just gonna take a long rest or a short rest or whatever. Yeah. Just leaning against whatever wall presents itself that doesn't collapse behind me.
As you sort of look around, Shiana, you notice that as you sort of look around in the residential area that you've been fighting the Gron in, you see that your mother and father are sort of moving among the wounded, helping people, because both of them seem to still be in decent shape. Your mother she's not covered in blood, her fists are.
Her blood?
Almost certainly not, because she's
Okay.
got almost no wounds otherwise. You can see like the faint like scuffs of where weapons hit her and then failed to penetrate. as you sort of sit and rest.
And attuned to that blade.
Yeah. Eventually, the familiar shadow of the war chief casts over the group of you as you see the heavy horned pauldrons. As you turn and see him approaching on his werewolf, the bloodied blade of Gorehowl still in his right hand, and the axe is drenched in blood and gore. He has seen quite a bit of action with it over the course of this battle.
Surprise.
Wonder.
Loktar, War Chief.
Loktar, he says. He looks around at the carnage.
I take it the forces have managed to gain control of the situation.
He nods and sort of spits on the ground. It was a cowardly attack. Striking civilians to draw military operations away, and then attempt to strike at the central hold of operations.
Have there been any word from the walls at all? If there's any secondary strike to this?
None at the moment. They seem to have pulled back. The question remains, however, on how these Twilight scum entered my city.
Do I? So I've over the course of this short rest that I've taken, I've spent half my hit dice and gotten back up to half health. So I'm gonna get this thing straight now. Have we seen anything that would indicate how they could stealth into something like this?
Not over the course of the battle.
I mean, like in our previous interaction.
You haven't had a lot of deep interaction with Twilight's hammer.
Looking at the bodies, do these people look different from regular Orgrimmar people?
Aside from the only like extremely distinguishing feature about them is their weapons. And occasionally you'll come across one that has a unique tattoo that's hidden under a robe or a hidden necklace of elementium.
Well, look at the weapons. I'm not entirely familiar with the material, but this can't have been an unexpensive venture. They clearly put a lot of resources into this. Teleportation, I'm not sure.
There could be traitors. To sympathize with
Which you would say proportion.
I have.
It's kind of the obvious.
I mean, yes, I was just gonna say. Anyways, I previously made a roll and succeeded at knowing about elementium. Do I know anything else about it? Like how difficult it is to acquire, how expensive it is?
It's only found in the
how hard it is
elemental
to
planes.
forge, how hard it is to forge?
It's you don't know anything about how it's forged because you've never come across anyone that uses it. You know it's only found in the elemental planes,
I'll just toss up one of the daggers and
or
catch it.
in places where the elemental planes bleed into Azeroth.
Toss up one of the daggers and catch it. The elementium is the material their weapons are made of. It's found in the elemental planes. Do I know about the rift in elemental planes that's under Orgrimmar?
Yeah, there is a place where the Firelands sort of there's an amount of fire elemental convergence under in the Ragefire chasms.
If I had to guess, I would assume that rather than simply being traitors who snuck in through the populace, that a majority of these, at the very least weapons, came in through the Ragefire chasm. It is after all a connection where the Firelands overlap with our world.
After all, if they had all simply snuck in, we would have noticed a dramatic increase in the population.
Well,
Traitors less likely than infiltration.
he sort of hops off the wolf and walks over to one of the bodies that's sort of laying face down on the ground. He sort of uses his boot to flip it over onto its back. This is one of the guards of Orgrimmar. Traitor. There are certainly an amount of turncoats within the enemy force. rage fire under control. Apparently, we need to redouble our efforts.
Counter-strike.
You can't do counter-strike against fire.
Well, I guess they don't have to go back and do what we did before. So. Cause more damage.
The Twilight's Hammer will pay for this. See it done.
The cinema bill.
I imagine traveling through rage fire wouldn't be particularly safe in any measure of the word.
Traveling through the Firelands is not safe at all unless you have a patron of immense power within it.
Deathwing?
Possibly. Also Ragnaros, Lord of Flame. Any number of other Fire Lords. There are more than one Fire Lord, isn't there? Yeah.
No, there's only one elemental lord.
Yeah. But there's other like elemental there are other beings of power that hold
Oh yeah, there
power.
are other notable fire elementals.
Yeah.
Like Baron Geddon is a famous
So
one.
what would be the appropriate name for, if not Fire, if not Lord of Fire?
Like
What would be the title for Baron Geddon?
Baron.
Baron?
Like lords of the Firelands.
Yeah.
Like,
Other notable lords of the Firelands. Do I know what Ragnaros' allegiances are? If he has any?
as far as most people know, fire.
Yeah.
He burns what he wants.
So
How much of... There was this whole smoke rising. There was a lot of stuff set on fire here.
There's a lot of buildings that are mostly burnt husks now. The orphanage was put out before it burned down to the foundations, but it's still heavily damaged.
if there were any indications of if there were any fire elementals that joined, there could be evidence as to who their master was. No, we would have to see if there's any remains.
There were numerous, but also earth elementals as well.
You said they didn't have.
They had no bracers.
No bracers.
They had a collar. Some of them, like a lot of them had like a spiked collar that seemed to rest around the neck.
Knowledge religion?
Made of
Or arcana?
Does I mean,
knowledge.
Kind of.
It looked like Elementine, based on the
does the combination of earth and fire tell me Deathwing?
Deathwing? Yeah.
I mean, that's an easy guess, yes. You can roll a religion check.
16.
We both look the same.
Is there anything I can bleed
You
out?
can also roll.
check? Yeah. 20.
Alright, so the two of you, based on your understanding of how the summoning and working with elementals works, most elementals are asked to enter the plane. They take a relatively fleeting form because they are brought in, and the bracers are formed as a tether to keep them in this realm while they perform their task. Most shamans ask them for their service, and they oblige, either in respect for the shaman or as part of the bargain. These ones, the collar is much more aggressive. Just the design of the collar is spiked and painful looking. These weren't asked; they were forced. This kind of dark shamanic practice isn't a bonding with the elements, it's a dominance of the elements. It's bending them to your will and forcing them to act how you command them versus the give and take of a more traditional shaman's relationship with the elements.
Do we previously have any indication that Twilight would work with Deathwing?
That was the general idea as far as most people are aware that Twilight's Hammer definitely seems to be in service to Deathwing.
Yeah.
That's why there were Twilight's Hammer filling up the caves that Death was dwelling in.
Yeah.
What worries me is that if this invasion orchestrated by Deathwing, he's clearly not using all of his resources here. make me wonder what else he's doing.
Well,
If ever there were an opportunity for him to show up somewhere in person, this would have been it.
not necessarily. Do you show up in person to exterminate insects?
Well, clearly it didn't work.
No, but that would be the perspective of definitely. If they have forcefully bound elementals into their service using these collars, then I imagine that Deathwing might have bound higher elementals into their service, which would explain how they passed through the Fireland so easily. Assuming it was easy. To be fair, we have no indication of content of what the threat was, but they seemed ready for a fight. So, it might be wise to check in on the Fire Lords. They say with the same sort of the same sort of desire that you might have to check in on your boss. Like, it's like I don't want to talk to any of them, but we need to know what's going on.
Well, maybe we could recruit them to assist us later.
It's at this
for later
point
battles.
that a cawing noise is heard overhead. As you look up, you see
The sound of a single crow.
you see a large bird circling overhead.
Is it the sound of a single raven?
It's not a raven. It's an eagle.
No, we were both wrong.
As it begins to circle downward.
Does it have bull horns?
No, but not every Tauren's druid form. Not all of the Tauren's druid forms have horns, and you know that Taurens do favor eagles for their bird form.
Yeah. So watch it and wait for it to transform.
It circles down and lands next to the war chief, and slowly begins to expand and fill out into a large Tauren. As this Tauren druid pulls himself together and nods to the war chief and offers his salute. War chief, the Tauren looks over at the group of you, and the soaring fang.
That's correct.
It is good to meet the group of you. I am Hamul Rutunin, he says as he looks over the group of you. And you see he's sort of a tawny, sort of tan brown fur, with sort of the heavier mane is black with the long braids reaching down. He's got this sort of heavy bone and leather armor with like large bird skulls in the shoulders. Wearing a very brightly painted with sort of sky blues and dirt reds.
What direction did I notice? What direction he was coming from?
North.
I look towards Mount Hyjal. And I just say out loud, are you about to tell us that something is attacking? I'm just going to spin a random location of significance. Mount Hyjal.
I am. The Tauren looks at the war chief. Mount Hyjal is burning. The Firelands have broken forth into this realm.
Remember that thing I said previously about how they might do Ragnaros?
The Fire Lord himself has been spotted.
They're working with Ragnaros.
His spire has broken forth from the elemental plane and reached Mount Hyjal.
Sounds
Can
correct.
Ragnar kill Fire Lord? Oh, absolutely. Anything can be killed.
In theory.
We are also receiving reports from the shamans at the Maelstrom. It has become more chaotic.
Not again.
The earth is broken. The shamans at the Maelstrom report that the Farseer Thrall is barely holding back the Maelstrom itself, attempting to hold together there is a rift to Deephold that will open the Eye of the Maelstrom. And according to the shamans, the world pillar of Deephold itself is shattered.
What's the significance of that state?
Roll me religion.
As the resident shaman. 20.
So, the elemental planes have a connection to Azeroth. They are sort of sub-realms of the world that were formed to contain the elemental lords. And each of them has a certain amount of influence over Azeroth as far as they go. The world pillar sort of signifies Azeroth's surface and structure, and the shattering of the world pillar is the kind of cataclysmic event that you would associate with the shattering, how tectonics moved in massive
event
earth,
you would associate with the cataclysm.
yeah, like the how massive tectonics caused floodings of entire biomes, complete desertification of others, moved mountains, caused a massive rent to open up in the barrens that divided it in half. Massive world reshaping cataclysmic scale event.
Little things like that.
And Deephold is the element of water.
Of Earth.
Who's the Lord of Earth?
Therazane, the Stone Mother.
Has Therazane been sighted anywhere?
We have not made any expeditions into Deephold, but she has not been sighted here on Azeroth.
Looking at anybody else around us. The Earth Elementals that were in combat here, would they also call it?
Yes.
To Ruton. Or Ruton?
Yeah.
To Ruton. Does Ragnaros have a fancy new accessory? I say indicating my neck.
Not that I'm aware of.
So, so we have a couple of options here. We have a couple of options here. Either Ragnaros is working with Deathwing, likely gaining access to, I just indicate to the north where Mount Hyjal is, and also attacking Deephold at the same time, or he's working with both, but that seems less likely. I don't think those two don't typically work together. Do they?
No, the Elemental Lords don't get along.
The Elemental Lords don't get along. So they've attacked Deephold, shattering the world pillar, causing all of the chaos that has happened. And in working with Ragnaros, shifted Twilight's hammer through the whatever the fuck it's called. What is it? Below.
Great Fire Chasm.
Shifting troops through the Rage Fire Chasm to attack us while also attacking Mount Hyjal, which is where Ragnaros is focusing his forces. It just seems like he's trying to destroy everything, and he is being very effective at it.
I'm gonna hold up on his collars and figure out ways to dismiss them.
I am afraid that there is more, Hamel says.
Of course.
We've also received word from Silithus and from Tanaris. Uldum has reopened its gates. The ancient desert has spilled forth once more, and with it come news of Skywall, the Blade Bear. The air elementals are also preparing for war. Alakir, the Wind Lord, is on the move.
Do I know? Do I know that at this point the dragons have given up their aspects?
No, they haven't yet.
They haven't yet. Do I know that the dragons are aspected to the Alpharius elements?
Vaguely, they're not aspected quite like fire, earth, water, air. They're because the dragons, as you know it, are charged with the protection of life. The blue flight is aspected with the protection of magic. Bronze with time, green with the emerald dream, and black was to protect the deep places of the earth.
Deathwing is tearing open a hole through all the elemental planes, letting them flood out into the world. Deep hole, for whatever reason, isn't, because of the chaos happening inside internally. What's the name of the Lord of Water?
Neptulon.
Has Neptulon risen as well?
We have not seen anything of him, but the port forces operating out of Vajir have noted a portal to the Abyssal Maw, which the Naga seem intent on entering and assaulting. The Abyssal Maw being plain water.
So the Naga are fighting with Neptune. The Prince of Wind is coming out of Uldum. Ragnarus is assaulting Mount Hyjal, and the World Pillar and Deep Home is broken, and no one has seen the Earthblood yet.
So the world's at end.
It's
Yeah.
certainly fraying at the edges. That would have been Shadow of the World.
So that's
So we're going to need help from from a lot of druids and a lot of shamans. Do I know about any of the shamanistic or druidic organizations?
The Earthen Ring is the organization of shamans, and the Cenarian Circle is the organization of druids.
Is the Cenarian Circle already working at Hyjal?
We are.
And the other ring?
Is operating at the Maelstrom.
Well, who do we talk to first? I'll look over at
Did we flip a coin?
Garrosh. War Chief, do you have any orders in particular?
He sort of looks down and thinks for a minute. You can see the building anger on his face as he contemplates the massive odds that have been arrayed against him. Yeah. Seems like it starts off as contemplative, and you can just see the scowl slowly deepen and the rage on his face slowly builds.
Hyjal is connected to Kalimdor as a whole.
Yeah, Hyjal is part of the main group of Kalimdor.
No, I mean like not physically, spiritually.
Sort of, yeah. Hyjal was the home of the original World Trade.
Yeah.
And so has sort of a druidic connection to most of the world.
If it helps, War Chief, if Hyjal falls, all of Kalimdor will fall.
This is going to be a long war, and I will have need of the Soaring Fang in many places. I expect you will be moving rapidly. You are, from my understanding, best at reconnaissance and courier message delivery and entering dangerous places and returning again unharmed.
It would seem to be what we do.
Well, as much as I hate to do this, this is going to be a long war, and you may not see much of the front lines, but you will be traveling far. And who knows what lies at the other end of it. First, we must learn what has transpired of the one plane that has not declared its allegiance yet. We must find out what has happened. To that end, I am sending you to the Maelstrom.
We'll need to go find Farseer. Shall we return? return to our keep and preparations. And also rest.
Quickly.
Now, yes.
Do you need time?
Yes.
What time of day is it right now?
It's probably mid-afternoon. I'll have the Orgrim's hammer chartered for you. That'll get you to the maelstrom.
What's the Orgrim's hammer? Is that a bow or
It is a military-grade airship.
Oh, this will be fun.
And I pointed the big the big double Zeppelin airship that's probably still firing at things.
Oh yeah.
That one.
As he points out, you see there is a massive, like larger than any traditional Zeppelin, huge, like it looks the boat end of the Zeppelin looks like a destroyer, like a galleon. But it's anchored by a massive heavy chains to a pair of Zeppelin balloons that have an interlocking grid to keep them balanced at the proper distance from each other. And it has a series of like there's an open the bottom end of the bay has like open hatches where there is a series of turret guns that are being manned and firing on the still active aerial combatants. And there's a massive wolf's head front main cannon that opens up into a large bore gun that's probably the size of a small building. That seems to run the length of the ship.
Nifty. No one ever sees these people how often. But if you are as into the sky as I am, you see it a lot.
I'm farther away from it. I would notice airships though.
Tiny spirits.
It's weird that you've never seen it before.
Why I was asking out of character.
Yeah, no. I'm playing.
Yes.
The Orgrim's hammer will see you to the maelstrom safely as one of the few airships that can brave those storms.
Bad history with airships.
Well, I hope you have insurance on it.
Now we have to get Django on it. Is Django with us?
Kind of all.
It's probably, it's in the area. He's,
We all got it back now.
he's looking at the bodies, trying to figure out what's up.
We may need
Well,
to knock.
he's more trying to figure out what's different.
We may need to knock Django out just to get him on.
I'll be able to use
Spike to it's just A-team style.
Spike his food and just wake up on the airship.
Except he can detect poison.
Yeah.
Only if he's expecting it.
No, he's Gormon. As a Gormon, he can just naturally
Yeah,
detect
he
it.
has to take a minute to do that though. He has to actively examine
Yeah,
the
he
food.
has to.
No, if I put food in my mouth, I can make a check to know.
Yeah.
I can make a cooking check to not swallow poison.
And he's the tank of the party, so we can't just knock him out.
I mean, I can.
You could have done that.
I did 170 damage to a guy.
We just need to.
Would that knock you out?
170 right now. Just give up on my hit points.
Hi, phone.
Hello, dogs.
I mean, really, what we need to do is develop like a little hypnosis
But not
box
the
device.
points, right?
No, develop a hypnosis
that-
box
Where you at?
that requires
Well,
an
they're out of
intelligence
date.
save.
Okay, we're gonna do that.
Build a hypnotizer
Yeah,
box.
but I think with a little.
It
First,
requires an intelligence
first
save.
we all go back to the key.
Yeah, we
Yes.
yes. Oh, I'm gonna take one of these collars and see if there's a way to break it or to unhinge it.
I'm
Just trying to figure out the best
similarly.
way to attack the.
Similarly, I'm going while I'm resting. I'm going to see about. I want to. That's the reason why I took 10. I want to see if I can use these elementium daggers to create a claw attack, an elementium claw attack, or an elementium addition to an existing claw attack.
Roll me blacksmithing with your spirit. You roll me an investigation.
Natural 20. Which makes it a
15.
Elementium is incredibly durable. With strong enough strike and a sturdy enough weapon, you can shatter it. But these don't have a latch; they're not meant to come off. They don't come off. They don't come off until the elemental is dead and disperses back to the elemental planes. That said, elementals aren't completely corporeal physically. Like they're sort of made of several different elements bound in one area. So they don't rest like perfectly on a neck, for instance, because a neck doesn't quite exist. So you're not certain if the magic holds it in place. It probably does. But theoretically, if you gave a hard enough yank, you might be able to get it off if you could pull harder than the magic holding it in place.
Dispel magic. Or something along those lines.
So that's a way to figure out how to blacksmith the elemental.
You don't have the right tools to reshape the elementium. You need like harder than the metal you're shaping. Or at least you need a grinder that can stand up to it.
Yeah.
But you probably could, given the right tools.
Do I know where I can find the right tools?
Roll me history.
8.
There are famous smithing guilds. You don't know who you would need to ask, but you do know that there are famous blacksmithing guilds like the Thorian Brotherhood that focus on working with unique and special metals.
Do I think so? Elementium conducts an elemental energy, right?
Yeah.
Do I think that I could use these to modify like an existing claw, like Shionna's claw of attack that has lightning properties? Could I figure out a way to sort of add these to it to enhance its combat capabilities?
If you could shape the blades, theoretically, like it would mechanically speaking, any thing made out of elementium will have a minimum strength requirement because it's so heavy. But elemental effects that are elemental enchantments given to elementium weapons are more effective and easier to apply, generally speaking. Like if you could apply the elementium to the blades of the claws of attack, you would probably conduct the lightning energy better.
Also of relevance, 170 would take me to exactly 0 hit points. So it would succeed. 169 would not, though.
That's where my second hit comes. Because the 170 was on the first hit.
To be fair, that first it was also a crit.
I mean, yeah, it was.
You actually knocking him unconscious?
No, I'm not. While I'm resting, I will call Shiona over at some point.
Yes.
Can I see your claw?
Why?
I think I can improve it. Take the claw and basically hold up one of the various elementium daggers that I have and sort of tap into the lightning claw and watch the lightning jump from the blade to the dagger and then sort of pull it apart and put that together. If I can figure out how to shape this holding the elementium dagger, I could use it to enhance your existing claw. Make it more powerful. Be heavier. I think you control it from the
Times.
I just need to figure out how to. I just need to acquire the tools really to shape this. Like tools too. A very specialized tool that specific guilds use. Like you would have to know anybody that works in the Thorian Brotherhood.
What?
History.
13.
Thorian Brotherhood is a group of dark iron dwarves. They're technically neutral, but you'd have to go to like the Syrian Gorge or the Eastern Kingdoms to find them. Typically, they work close to Blackrock Mountain. Typically, unless you find someone wandering.
I don't personally.
Probably the same. I can't think of anyone other than them now. I'm sure they're all. I can't think of anyone else.
Also, Baron has acquired a slight British accent.
Has he?
He did for a minute there.
Just the way I'm talking.
You got very proper for a moment.
He gets proper when he's contemplating blacksmithing.
me a history check with advantage. You roll the history check with advantage.
12.
Sucks to think 'cause I don't use charm often.
Tower.
I mean, I could.
No.
How you know I did just
14.
Looking at this metal and paying close attention to the way it sort of striates, it's got like a vaguely purple coloration, but it sort of opalesces when you tilt it, like it rainbows the light around it. This is the metal that all of those weird Twilight's Hammer spires were made of. Like when you were in the Twilight's Highlands and you saw that one massive twisting spire that was reaching up into the sky, it was made of this metal.
This is what that tower was made of.
Which means that the Twilight's Hammer at least knows how to shape it.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, they know how to shape it on a massive scale.
Yes, are we friendly with any of the Twilight's Hammer?
Let's go find out.
Do we know any Twilight Hammer deserters?
Off the top of your head.
Have any
We
vestige?
can take these little cobblers and put them on
So,
and make them do the work for us.
So we could take the tower, and we could smelt it down and sell all the. Sorry, wrong character.
Different. That's a goblin.
Going back to the guy.
All of a sudden,
Hand you back the
crag bolting.
Hand you back the claw.
Crag bolting would know how to work on it.
And I hand you 5 of these little daggers.
Crash probably just, make a charge attack and shatter it.
Where are these two?
Well, this is after that campaign. So technically, we can track them down.
I've got
Yeah, you could try and track down
Sapphire
Crag.
could 100% smelt elements.
Oh yeah, Sapphire absolutely.
I'm going to figure out how to make
Sapphire
this.
could make one of those stupid spires.
Okay.
Just so you know that. Let's figure out the tool. Though I know how to. I have the theory behind it. I just need the tools. We could probably go kill a bunch of Twilight's Hammer and steal their tools.
Alright, fine. Be a good exercise.
There's Twilight's Hammer in camp. They do it nearby.
I mean, if you wanted to dig into Great Fire Chasm, see if you can find materials.
Just need tools.
Weapons had to come from somewhere.
After I rest, we're taking the next mission.
Have we taken any Twilight's Hammer, prisoner, and we can, threaten them to do this for us?
They don't exactly consent to being taken prisoner, Kairos says.
Just talking.
Oh, we're back at our keep.
Oh, no, sorry, you're back here.
We're back at our keep.
Sorry.
He's stocking up.
That's like, why are you, War Chief? Why are you here?
Get out of my room.
Why are you in our rooms?
In that particular case, probably Gordon Ashton.
Okay.
They don't exactly consent to being taken prisoner.
I don't need the prisoner either. I just need the tools. I have to have. I need to kill a blacksmith. I need to kill a Twilight's Hammer blacksmith.
Thank you for clarifying that. I'm not gonna walk through Orgrimmar and start killing blacks.
Do we know where any camps are? Other than the ones on the ground.
I have no one.
Leave! I yell throughout the keep.
I mean, you just have to yell it down the stairs.
I don't know where I'm at.
Now, where are we in the keep?
Probably.
One thing that may have been relevant, because the war chief may have seen me doing this, was while I was inspecting the bodies when I was done, when we went back to the keep, I dragged several with me of the Twilight's Hammers.
We don't give a fuck.
For the scorpions.
Pardon?
For the scorpions?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not sure if the war chief
He
noticed.
he probably noticed and doesn't care.
Okay, he's okay with me feeding
Feeding giant scorpions?
triggers to the giant
Sure.
scorpions.
Sure. Why not?
Okay.
He's seen the giant scorpions that you've got.
Okay.
She went back to her room, by the way. Is there anything in her room?
No.
Okay, because last time you had indicated.
There was, but you missed it.
Well, she didn't go to her room.
I know.
Okay,
And he retrieved it.
Oh, I know. I'm with that.
fine.
Leave! Do you know where any Twilight... Do we have any idea or any leads on where any Twilight's Hammer encampments are? I need to find and kill a Twilight's Hammer blacksmith.
Just steal his stuff. You don't get
Alright.
Then you may as well
I assume there's a very logical conversation for this, but
They have the tools to shape element.
There's a good reason.
That makes
I need
sense.
those tools.
Yeah, plus Twilight's Hammer.
Also,
They're just
Twilight.
asking to be killed.
Also, they're servants of Deathwing who recently attacked Arkham City and blah blah blah. But more importantly, they have black tools.
Plus, sometimes you just need to kill someone.
I do have a sword.
I don't agree with that.
Someone evil.
I didn't stop Jangatal from whatever he was doing.
We'll
So
discuss my definition on the word evil later.
The more permanent question is: do we know how elites on the planets have bases?
history or religion or something. Try that.
History.
Environment.
Also, you can roll me blacksmithing with intelligence when you get back.
24.
Twilight's Hammer don't like to be found. They're a very subversive cult-like organization. They tend to keep secret operatives within larger organizations. They're sort of the
Alright, spill it. Which one of us is the spy?
yeah. They're sort of the
It's me.
they're sort of the Hydra. To use a comic book example, they're sort of the Hydra of the world, where they can have agents infiltrating just about anywhere, and it's really hard to tell until they go active.
It has to be her because she's the one that's running these people in.
No, but if it was Hydra, you cut off the arm and 2 more would grow back, right?
Hail Hydra!
It's the Scorpions.
But typically speaking, when they have a base, you'll know, because they'll have something like that Elemental Spire in Twilight's Highlands. Because anywhere they feel confident enough to concentrate their power, it becomes a fortress. So it's hard to find a specific base.
But the bases that they do form will end up being relatively obvious.
Yeah. Because at that
So-
point, they've got elemental control.
So we should probably try talking. Well, they are fairly good about not revealing the locations of their bases, but the bases themselves, the large spire we saw, tend to be rather obvious. If you wanted to find someone who knew where to look, you could try asking some of the more adventurous airship pilots, people who have gone outside the charted routes. They may have seen spires like that on their journeys.
Also, your brother. They might, his company, his guild might know some locations. It would be pertinent information to them.
I was going to write down where that is.
Also, they might have actually lifted some blacksmithing tools. 20 in my history.
So, aside from whatever specific tools that they might have among Twilight's Hammer, because they probably just got the materials to work this stuff, enchanted equipment would also probably do. Like you would need a forge that is probably elementally hot, like fire elementally hot to smelt the metal. You would probably need tools with the strength of earth elemental magic to shape it. So either appropriate materials, probably tools made of elementium, or something harder, if there is something harder, or enchanted tools.
Well, we've got a forge as hot as the elemental plane of fire, right? We've got that ravine.
Great track out.
There's a difference between ambient lava and a focused forge.
Yeah.
You just build your forge so the lava flows over it. You build the lava slide we wanted to throw for space.
So we're saying is we need to go buy that other lava, we need to go buy the lava base and build the forge there.
She's saving up
How much does it cost?
8,000.
Would that even work?
I mean, theoretically, if you wanted to build
No, I mean,
an elemental forge, the Skyfire Lodge would be a good place for it.
I mean, all you need to do is just you grab a bucket, you go down there, you take some of the lava, and then you just build a fort out of that. Easy, right?
it's not Minecraft.
A Minecraft rule.
But is it Terraria? Oh, then you just go down to the forge.
Or is it Starbound?
Well, how much would it cost us to run up the time to try to build a forge like that?
Enchant Enchanting costs are difficult to estimate.
Right.
I mean, but if we get in the forge and we start kicking out Elementium stuff, and we become the only place in Orgrimmar that can work all this surplus of Elementium we have.
Money.
Do that.
Alternatively, if we do enchant a forge.
You could do that. At some
The Skyfire Lodge. The Skyfire Lodge was used as a nexus, as a meeting point for shamans and druids because it does have an elemental connection. It is built on top of the Ragefire Chasm, and
I
sort
have
of
2,000.
can build off of that.
I mean, how much funds do we have in the...
We just need 2,000 more gold, and we can buy it between the two of us.
hold on.
I mean, technically, I have Jenga's money too, but that would just
We can ask.
that would
We have
Do you want how much is he?
we have nearly 13,000 in the
$3,385.
Yeah, we have
We have
13.
nearly 13,000.
We have like
I've been saving up for it. I have 4,000 right now, so I'm happy to do it.
4,000, 2,000.
I have 2,000. We have 13.
2,000.
I give you something.
And then, well, we can't spend all of that.
No, no.
How much is the Ragefire? How much is it?
8,000.
It was 8,000 for the Skyfire Lodge.
That still leave us.
So you have two or something. So she has a 7.
I mean, I know how much it is, even if she's holding it. I have 1,300.
You have 3,385.
There was a 2,000.
Oh, I'm sorry. That was what you had in the past. Now this is what you have.
Yeah, I've got 1,390.
1390. No, I have it right there. I'm sorry. Why is this number here? There are no erasers. That's why the number's still here.
That's why you put it.
Thank you.
I take this council and put it there.
Okay. Sorry. Okay. Nothing to erase them with.
So if we buy that place, we can start setting that up as a forge while we go off and do other things. And a forge.
And forge, yes. Just
You need someone to enchant the forge because you got the power there. You need someone to draw it.
Yeah. Can I do that?
Theoretically, but you'd
Do
have
we
to stay there.
Do we happen to have the aid of any people who are super attuned to the elements who are helping us build our fortress in exchange for covert operations? I don't know.
And do we happen to know
Hey.
anybody who has, strong magical power, good at working with magical and enchanted artifacts, who could possibly be interested in joining a guild and helping us set this up for money and forging? Gee, I wonder.
On top of that, you have a half-decent shaman who works for you.
That too.
Yeah.
A shore
All
is
right.
not a bad shaman.
Let's buy the place, have our shaman start enchanting it, and then go to the maelstrom.
yay! Vacation home.
It's out of the cliff.
We do that, GM.
While they're doing that,
Just for the sake of making this whole thing official, how much are we going to have to pull out of the treasury for this?
I will spend my 4,000.
I have 2,000. That's 6,000. We only need 2,000.
2,000
I now
dollars?
have no money.
I need to.
Alright, let's make an official injunction here. Simple majority vote?
Aye.
Yes.
Good. Making this official now.
There is now 11,000 in the treasury.
Have it on the paper trail. Well, 1,900.
Also,
10,000.
also,
10,986.
as a business expense, having an elementally enchanted forge will draw more crafting clientele
Indeed.
who would like to use it. More of a cut for us.
That's why I was mentioning whatever that undead guy is. His name, I forget.
Grimlark.
Yes, Grimlark. That's what I was thinking.
Grimlark, roll
It's a nice
smite.
vacation.
Nice level for us.
so I've decided to
We designed it like a skull that's crying, it's weeping lava.
I've decided to move on to stage 2 of Scorpion Plan, since I have a horde of dead bodies behind me.
Okay.
I'm going to open up
Dragon Ball.
the door and see if they'll let me enter the nest with bodies.
Roll me animal handling. With advantage because we got food.
I have many much food. I am glad I have advantage. 27.
bring the bodies down with you. The scorpions sort of clack at you a little bit as you approach, but they're more curious and aggressive. And as you bring food down with you, they are welcoming to your presence.
All right.
You've been feeding them regularly enough; they recognize you as a person that brings food.
All right. Well, I'm going to distribute food. I'm also going to look among the scorpions and see if any of them are stand out. Any of them are more intrigued, more curious than the rest. Many of them seem to have personality.
Well, there's the matriarch, so it's her who is in charge.
Yeah.
But aside from her, there are among the scorpions there are the
For scorpions. We can have lightning scorpions.
There's a few distinctions among this pit of scorpions. You can sort of tell the workers are the ones that are the smallest and have sort of like the dusty brown shells. But there are a series of scorpions that have more of a coal black shell with sort of red striations that are larger and seem more intelligent. And
the biggest violence.
you would sort of gather them as sort of being like
strapping
warriors or
anvils to a burrow.
Only the biggest violence.
and they are among the intelligent ones, along with the matriarch.
Do any of them seem more curious to me and less like you know what I'm talking about?
There's one or two.
More amiable.
Yeah, there's one or two
It
that
holds
are
magic. It holds magic easy.
more curious about you than aggressive.
I'm going to see if I can approach one of them and see if I can develop a line of communication here.
Roll me another animal. Just one map.
Not with advantage. 25. By the way, guess what feat I took last time?
Which the animal handler one?
Yeah, the one that gives me expertise in it. I'm gonna make use of that.
Oh yeah.
There's a specific reason I took that.
You get to pick a second animal companion.
Yeah, without any benefits though.
Yeah, you can just command animals basically that are friendly to you.
So I just have to get an animal friendly to me, and then
Like a pit of scorpions.
you know, it's almost like I've been working on that for a while.
Snack friend, scorpion friend.
Snack friend is Scorpionock. Thank you very much.
Scorpionock.
Scorpionock.
So,
Austin is Gib.
It's a 1-3 death touch for 2 and a black.
Austin is preferred scorpions. We're talking about making lightning weapons.
it's also a transformer, to be fair.
Fair.
I don't remember if it was from Beast Wars or not, because I feel like Scorpionock would stand out in any Transformers.
Yeah, no, Scorpion was beat first.
Was he?
Anyway, regardless, actually no, I think it's a 2-2 death touch with cycling. That's for 2 and a black. Regardless,
It's Death Rattle Scorpion.
it's a 25.
Yeah, so you approach this one warrior that seems to be more approachable, and you offer it one of the bodies, and it very quickly tears into it and seems to be more amiable to your presence
Okay.
and will allow you to approach without threatening you.
Alright. Also, what does this nest look like from the inside? I've never actually been down here.
It's mostly a
Lots of bones down here.
yeah. There's a good number of bones, but it's largely a series of like interweaving tunnels that have been sort of burrowed out underground. That sort of forms this sort of not quite an anthill, but then like a series of interweaving tunnels. That
It's okay if
Hollowed out.
so long as they don't have a gun. If somebody trying to steal from us, it's more than enough to start a gun.
Hello, Mr. Axe Murderer. He doesn't have an axe.
Alright, kill him as soon as he emerges.
I don't have an axe. He has a sword. Oh, nice. Excellent.
Did you get that dragon?
Yep.
you you're joined by a Ruby character whose name I cannot remember for the life of me.
Kira.
That was it. Very nice. And it's got a really good glow on the camera.
Oh, yeah.
That's a really good cosplay, by the way.
Thank you.
We want to put the heavy side down.
Maybe. I need to put other stuff down first.
Straight from Dragon Con, we have Rudy as Kira.
Playing brick.
They look pretty much the same, actually.
So what I miss?
We're buying a house, a second house. So,
Also, the apocalypse happened again.
okay,
It's going to happen.
the fast part. Mount Hyjal is under attack by Ragnaros. The Lord of Air is coming out of Uldum. The world pillar in Deepholm has been shattered. And no one has seen the Earth Mother, Therazane. And Naga are attacking the elemental plane of water. And that's one. That's not there. We've driven off the forces of the Triad's Hammer, though at great cost. We gathered up a bunch of Elementium stuff. I've determined that I could use the Elementium stuff to make things, but I need an enchanted forge. So we bought the Lava Palace in order to turn it into a forge. We're in the process of buying the Lava Palace in order to have our shaman enchanted to a forge, while we go to the Maelstrom to see Thrall and the Urban Ring there, and also to then go into the hole and check in on the Earth.
And then we'll have a monopoly on Elementium.
Because I'm going to upgrade Shiona's lightning claw Elementium.
Nice.
So basic rundown, yeah.
Alright. Also, I have another craft tech check for my own project.
Go for it.
Another disadvantage?
Yep. Yes.
I'm assuming.
Also, they're making a hypnotizing box so that we get you a color.
It's not bad.
No, we're doing
Yeah.
something else first.
They're doing something else, but they're also going to be making a hypnotizing box so we can put Jane Color in the picture.
Require an intelligence saving throw. That's the only way you can get to the troll. Intelligence saving throws. It's the only way to put the troll down.
That's not the only way, but it's definitely one of the more effective ones.
It's kind of the best way.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the scorpions let me approach,
Yes.
and I'm going to see if I can communicate to get a feel for what does this scorpion's life entail. Like,
What's a day in the life of you?
like when you make an empathic link with animals, you get sort of the overview of what are the fears, what are the likes, what's the survival.
Roll me animal handling with your charisma.
My charisma is not as good as my spirit,
Progress to make the
so
roll.
that makes that a 20.
This scorpion is one of the Royal Guard. It's all of the black-scaled scorpions that you've seen are warriors, but this one in particular, with the particular red striations that accompanies the black scales, or the black carapace, is of the Royal Guard. Their job is to protect the matriarch and to serve in the capacity of basically protection and enforcement of sort of the borders of the hive or of the mound. They are sort of the. I mean, there's no way to put it other than they're the Royal Guard of the Scorpion Mound.
Yeah. So, see.
So it lives to protect the matriarch.
Interesting. And presumably then it would not be swayed to leave the hive.
Not easily.
Okay. But in defense of the hive, it may be swayed to do things locally, but
Yeah, absolutely.
so for example, if somebody were to be invading again, I might be able to convince it to, ride into that.
Probably.
Okay. Once I've established that, I'm going to move in a way that assures it that I am simply an observer and a provider. We are essentially doing the same things. I'm providing food to the matriarch and arranging and protecting the matriarch. We're on the same side. I'm not trying to usurp the matriarch's authority. I'm going to see if I can find one of those regular warriors. One of the ones who's not the immediate guard. And see if I can find one that has a similar level of intrigue.
Fine. One of the black carapaces that doesn't have the unique red striations. Yeah, you can find one that is more curious than territorial.
So, presumably, if it's more curious than territorial, I'm going to approach and see if it feels as closely connected to the immediate protection of this area, or if it more exists for the purpose of your more base survival instincts.
Probably a little more handling.
Oh goodness, 28.
This one is more rangy. It will hunt. It will travel. It's in service of the mount, but it is one of the ones that does travel out when it will move out to hunt, to range, to scout. Find food, bring it back.
All right. Does a 28?
Yes, you make progress.
Yes. Do I just make a day of progress, or?
That'll make an extra day. Cool.
Well, to wrap this up, then I'm going to see if this scorpion would be willing to journey and see new things, bring back more interesting treasures to the hive.
Progress.
One more animal handling. This one again.
I've been rolling really well. 22. Also, plus 8 for good, to be honest, with my animal handling helps.
Taking the time to offer this one its own course rather than sharing it with some of the other scorpions, and taking the time to communicate the sort of empathic language that you have with animals, you will be able to get this creature to follow you as sort of a guide on its hunts, basically. Like, you'll be able to lead it places that you want it to go, so long as it eventually returns back to the mound.
Get it on an airship.
Theoretically.
Right. While I'm down here, though, do the scorpions appreciate anything other than food? Like, are there shiny things, or baubles, or points of fascination or interest? Or does it seem to be all about food?
The scorpion mound is mostly food, but you've noticed that the matriarch has sort of collected several of the bones and has sort of formed a unique nest for herself out of the remains of a lot of the foods around it. Some of the warriors and royal guard have taken like a small handful of bones and sort of ornamented their particular areas where they sleep.
Alright, I'm going to take note of the sort of trophies that would be appreciated, so that Scorponok can bring home some trophies. Earn some acclaim.
The particular points of pride definitely seem to be unique animal bones.
Oh, we're going to get some unique animals.
So,
Alright. So, yeah.
while we're resting and doing paperwork to buy that new place, I'm going to basically in the forge area, in forge shop, I'm going to start working on a prototype for what I want to build. The idea that I had, so a normal claw of attack just has four fixed claws, and the hand is free down here.
Yeah.
Right? What I'd like to try to figure out a way to put together is a claw of attack that also has basically like an extending hand, so that you can have it normally, and then you can sort of trigger a thing that will cover your hand, your fingers in additional blades. So like it pops out, and now in addition to the four fixed ones, You've got 5 more
A
claws.
claw gauntlet to
Yeah.
go under the claw attack.
Yeah. So you've got, rather than just 4 claws, now you've got 9.
Set of hand raisers.
Yes. And like the idea is that eventually to be able to affix the Elementium hand raisers to the base of her existing claw attack, so that the Elementium can siphon off the lightning from the claws of attack. And now you've got Elementium hand raiser with claws of attack.
Alright.
I heard you like to stab. Well, now you can claw while you stab.
Roll me.
And so just make me like a prototype.
Yeah, roll me blacksmith intelligence. Just to sort of prototype.
That's cool.
Nice. So you sort of take some vellum and sort of start to charcoal sketch what you're trying to envision. So you sort of some simple hinges that the problem you're having is trying to make this able to be operated with the hand that is wearing it. Yeah. Because there's no other hand to adjust.
At some point, I'll probably have Leaf or Josh come in and give me some ideas. Think, this is what I want to do.
And like you can very easily make like a simple like hinge fold for the hand raiser that another hand could just slide into place.
Yeah.
But there's no other hand that's going to be able to slide that into place.
Yeah.
So you need something that is operable with just the hand that is wearing the gauntlet. And one of you roll me intelligence engineering.
Oh, engineering.
Yeah.
You'd be better for that.
That's slow. So it's gonna be 26.
What?
So what you eventually come up with that will be the simplest solution is actually to sort of create the hand raisers that sort of sit on the back of the hand and slide into place over the fingers, sort of as like a sliding cat. And the easiest way to make that accessible is instead of trying to engineer something mechanical that will achieve that, is to just make a ring on the back of the blades and a hook that just attaches to her other shoulder, so she can just slide it into place, slide it out.
Can I build a normal one?
Roll me blacksmithing with your agility, because it's delicate work.
16.
You can probably very quickly fashion a crude, not quite effective version of that. It won't be super sharp because you will trying to do a concept test.
Yeah.
In the span of most of an afternoon, you can probably hammer something out really quick that fits that mechanics.
Okay. Paul gets back. I don't have to purchase that.
She's had to lay down.
Okay, so lay down. No, so I'll have John do that.
New blades, new Scorpionox. Whatever you two guys are building.
They're building several things.
Whatever.
Anything Brick's up to?
Not sure right now since I just came from bed.
Yeah.
Just finish that whole battle.
The group is preparing to make use of the Elementium they've acquired, and also preparing for a trip to the Maelstrom, because that was the War Chief's first assignment for what is going to be a lengthy series of escapades.
I've talked about.
He hasn't come to his family in a bit, so he probably just read a little bit.
Write a letter home. Basic maintenance.
Prickly nuts. Maintenance words.
Leaf goes and speaks to Etrig about the purchasing of the Skyfire Lodge, which is still available at the moment, and the recent attack has made it relevant to purchase things.
Buy it.
Now it's not available, so
Buy it. Furnish it. Enchant it. basically move all the blacksmithing tools we made to there we bought previously to there and have them enchanted.
You've acquired the Skyfire Lodge. It's barren, basically. It's basically just it's a small ground like a mesa ground level hut, like a one-room hut with a spiral staircase that heads down with several different small rooms. It's much smaller. Like it's way smaller than before. Like it's got one ground level room, spiral staircase with like 4 or 5, 1 or 2 room levels, and then a drop off into the Ragefire Castle.
So you build a platform over the Ragefire Castle.
So it's just so it's all hut, and then everything is underground.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah. Well, underground. The mesa itself is above the ground of Orgrimmar. It sort of like tunnels down through the mesa into the Ragefire.
That works.
Okay. So
Like a lot of the underground rooms are above the ground floor of Orgrimmar.
yeah, but there's still like earth walls on all 4 sides.
Yeah.
Okay.
Still too close.
I'll probably end up taking like just one of the banner from any one of them, and yeah,
Put it up. Put some beds in there.
Deal with that later.
we'll deal with that later.
Yeah, we're not gonna move in. Yeah, it's not. Yeah.
Oh, I don't even think it's. I don't even think it's a move-in. I think it's just like put like two bedrooms in there, maybe 3, just to have a place for craftsmen to sleep if they need to, and a guard.
Well, they can't craft right now because
Yeah, because we're changing stuff. And then we do need to move the forge over there so that it can be enchanted.
The obvious positioning you want the forge on the lowest level, so that it can draw directly from the lava below the Ragefire.
Yeah.
Is there does the stairwell just drop off? This was there a floor?
The stairwell it leads down to a bottom floor that is sort of like you know in Dark Souls 1 how you get to Vamos has like the stone staircase that spirals down and there's like rooms off to the side and then there's just that like big circular chamber at the bottom. It's like that and there's that hole at the bottom, like dead center in the bottom, like there's a circular chamber with an open hole into the
Okay, so like there's a room at the bottom of the stairs.
Yeah.
There's
It's
a room
like
at the bottom of the stairs.
it's probably like a 20-foot radius dome chamber, like a fireball would perfectly fit that room.
Okay. Yeah.
What about if you just dip Elementeum straight in lava? It would melt like every other metal would, or if it actually.
Probably not.
It probably, just based on your understanding of Elementium, it wouldn't melt just from a dip in lava. You would need to focus that heat.
You have to leave it in there. And you have to leave it in there long enough that it would injure you, probably.
Well, being close enough to lava to forge with it would injure you.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I'll make sure the room has good AC.
It's fantasy lava. Evil Smith with lava all the time in Azeroth. It clearly doesn't have the same transitive heat properties as it does in real life.
Either that or the melting point of everything in Azeroth is just arbitrarily lower.
I mean, I think Tinkers have already established that the rules of thermodynamics just generally don't work here. So
For some reason, you step into the forge room. It's nice. It's like nice and like 60 degrees. It's like black.
It's still blazing hot in that bottom room, like sweating just from being in there, but you're not on fire just from being in there.
It's like standing in front of the glory hole at a glass blowing shop.
Oh, yeah.
It's a whole lot of fun, by the way. Like when you walk away from glass blowing, you're like, wow, suddenly this 90-degree summer day feels really cold.
And also bonus. Now we've got a lava pit to throw people in. We have
throw them,
lava.
throw them into the lava pit, then fish them out and throw them into the scorpion pit so they're nice and crispy.
Deep fried human.
I've got the hook for it. I mean, just. Let's sit for 3 seconds.
That's
Yeah,
a
with
push it at.
it's a little bit charred.
Also,
Have a pulley system.
because there's water in living bodies, which means when you throw them into lava pit, they explode because all that water turns to steam.
Yeah.
So you throw them in and they explode.
There's just a splash of lava. Like
Pull what back up.
Exactly.
whatever's left.
It depends on how much of that steam escapes out of the port before they just explode.
No,
No, they
they
will
just
explode.
no. Because here's the thing: it doesn't escape out of the port because it is the little goo inside of your cells just turns into vapor and goes away. Your skin could be leather and you would still explode because your muscles would turn to gas.
We're talking about sublimation.
Everything goes.
You become a popcorn kernel.
Yeah. Except you're doing it under lava, so there's lava splattering everywhere.
In particular instance, you just take 10d10 fire damage, so it's survivable.
Not by many people.
Not by people other than, the troll.
I can take 10d10 fire damage. You can max out 10d10 fire damage and that's survive.
I think it's only, 100 damage?
Is that what your first wave is?
Gianna could survive it too, actually, because resistance to fire damage.
I mean, Blackrock orcs can do this shit.
Anyways. Yes. Lava in Warcraft isn't as hot as lava in real life.
I could theoretically wade through lava for several rounds.
It's around there.
If it rolls
So-
low enough, yeah.
That side of the table can survive a dip in lava, this side cannot.
Forget it. It's working. It's magical. It really doesn't include magical resistance.
Yeah, I think it's
It's
just
just-
bludgeoning, piercing, sliding.
No, lava wouldn't be magical.
Yeah, that's what I'm.
It would still be fire damage, though, rather than bludgeoning, piercing, or slashing.
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah.
It's not magical fire damage.
It's specifically what.
Yeah.
So no.
Anyways. We do that, Jim.
This is the physical damage, not elemental damage.
I would just need to hope you don't roll max.
Yeah. Okay, roll high.
So, 16. I could wade through the lava for 10 rounds on average.
Oh yeah, because you have the fire resistance as well.
Because I have the fire resistance and I can regenerate while I'm wading through lava.
So basically what you're saying is, in order to go to Scorpion, you just take whoever you want, and then you suplex them into lava until they're nice and crispy.
I can do that.
Anyways.
Sending a message, I believe, is the reason, too.
I feel like suplexing somebody into lava is its own reward.
It's about sending a message.
It's nice tower. It's a dice scroll. Like this folds up and goes inside, isn't it?
They're sold separately, but they were.
Yeah, I've seen these before on different units. It's like a little classical dice tray. And it all goes inside the scroll case.
It's called the Codex.
Yeah, it's a codex, that's right. That's just really cool.
Yeah, they have different designs.
That looks like
That looks vaguely similar to Standard Galactic Alphabet. Vaguely similar.
What is the standard galactic alphabet?
All I know from is that the language that Minecraft Enchanting uses.
Yeah, that sounds good. It's classical. So
so you can fit it into the scroll case. Yeah.
let's try to figure out how to start. Let's try to figure out how to start.
Now you have to figure out how to
I've
do
got to figure out
it.
how to start.
Regardless, we're so we've got that now.
We did all that.
So what is? So I presume that takes the long rest.
That
and
takes most
it's
of your
next
day, yeah. That's most of your day.
Standard galactic alphabet was created for Commander Key.
writers were like, "Oh, hey, cool, we're going to use this," and then they were like, "Actually, no, that sucks. We're not going to use it."
You can take Klingon lessons in Duolingo.
Which is silly.
As well as High Valerian.
High Valyrian is an interesting language.
Both Klingon and High Valyrian are Duolingo. Because they are languages.
Someone took the time to make those languages in.
They're, constructed languages are languages too, sure.
All languages.
It's frankly probably more useful than Esperanto.
All languages are constructed languages.
Well,
At some point, we all agreed that certain things meant certain things, and thus language was born.
But there's a difference between
The
you know, a
natural
couple people
evolution of
decided-
language versus the
Artificial construction.
artificial
Yeah, that,
construction.
like,
It's sort of like
there actually is a distinction between
Yeah,
natural
yeah.
languages and common languages.
yeah. There is a difference between natural languages that naturally were constructed.
And even then, there are also differences between, common language that someone made for fun and common language that someone actually thought would be a language,
Yeah.
aka Esperanto, aka nice try but no.
which is hilarious.
Way to try to make a universal language and only incorporate sounds from your own language. Way to go, pal.
But, like I said, at the same time, all languages are different. Words only mean things because we agree they mean.
Sort of.
that's Skyrim Draconic.
Is it Skyrim Draconic?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, as we were carrying.
Anyways,
Yes, no. So we go to the ship and head off.
Yeah, much
to the
more.
water.
Yeah, that's the Draconic alphabet there.
anyways, we rest. Long rest. We do things. Next day we get on an airship. Well, next day we have to get prepared to get on an airship.
Yes.
I knew I recognized him somewhere. Sorry. I was like, what is that? I know it.
And try to figure out a way to explain to Shagatal that we have to get on the airship to go to the instrument.
Pray tell, how do you explain this to me?
That's why I said try to figure
He
it out.
speaks common. Well, he doesn't speak. He understands. He understands Orcish.
I wonder if when we're not busy, I give him the flying route so that he can fly around and get rid of the fear of being in the sky.
Oh no, flying isn't the problem.
Oh yeah, that's
It's
right.
specific
It's
in the air.
being
I'm fine riding with her.
Shagatal has pattern recognition. It's the thing.
Yeah.
He knows that every time we get on an airship, we
We
get
have to put
shot
it on
down.
Scorpion, so we can ride the flying Scorpion. To ride alongside the ship on a flying Scorpion.
For a long time.
Yeah, I would need to apply it like a bunch of times.
That's permanently described the room.
Yeah.
Like,
Just pick your favorites.
Shagatal. We're going to need to go to the maelstrom, meet up with Thrall, and see what's happening with the Earth Mother. Not the Earth Mother, that's it.
Yeah, Stone Mother. But
The Stone Mother. See what's happening with the Stone Mother.
No, the Earth Mother is the torrent's name
Yeah.
for Azeroth.
Yeah. That's why I was the Stone Mother. In order to do that, we're going to have to get on an airship. Because there is literally no other way to get to the maelstrom. Any other method results in death.
So does this.
shrug shoulder, point to airship, point spiraling down, explosion.
While I understand that our record of airship riding has not been good so far,
The
I'll
odds
take-
are better that we're going to survive this one.
it's literally the only way we have to get there.
The airship, point to spiraling down, boom.
Tomorrow morning I can cobble a hypnosis box.
This is tomorrow.
Okay.
Is this tomorrow morning?
Yeah, this is
Then I have my tech points back for long rest. Alright.
But I don't know you guys are doing that. That's why this conversation is happening.
Glad I
Okay.
tried to make
Okay, it's going to have little springs inside that spin around in circles and catch your attention, kind of like a 60s,
there
1960s
is a
poster.
thing in the core rule book for 3.5 for that exact invention.
Okay.
I don't know how it works there, but
What was the name of it? Do you recall?
It probably works like the Fascinate spell,
Yeah.
Or in this case, it would be 5e would be like the
I think Fascinate's a spell.
Is Fascinate spell type? Let's find out.
I mean, hypnotic would be like hypnotic pattern.
Yeah, hypnotic pattern is the one I was thinking.
Do you remember what it was called?
I forget.
Was it in Even More Magic and Mayhem?
I know it was in one of the Magic and Mayhems. It may have been even more.
Yeah, Fascinate is the spell of 5e.
Know which mind
Hypnotic
control
pattern
have?
is.
Probably thinking Dog Pattern.
That's an interesting one, but not that one.
Hypnotic pattern for a minute. It's a wisdom save, I have to save for hypnotic pattern. But pattern appears for a moment. Vanishes. Each creature in the area who sees the pattern must make a wisdom saving throw and able to save the character. It's charm of the duration while charmed by the spell. Using capacity doesn't get a circle. Typically, any charm effects are going to be wisdom saving.
Yeah, but we want to do an intelligence saves just to kind of knock them out. Because we know that his intelligence save is going to be a whole lot more problematic part.
Explain to me what you are attempting to achieve.
We want to just get him hypnotized and
Basically, the machine that was in that rulebook was literally a box that you would hold that had swirling patterns and rhythmic lights on it. And if you looked at it, it would cause you to become fascinated. And ideally, I'd like to make something with an intelligence save.
yes, it's a little more hypnotic to try to talk to idiots.
Or a charisma
No.
save.
I suppose if we just want to go straight up hypnosis route.
Yeah.
I was thinking.
I was thinking hypnosis.
I've always felt that like subverting someone's will is supposed to be like a charisma save to me personally.
Okay.
It's just a wisdom save as an artifact in 3/5 relating to will saves.
Because my charisma is only slightly better than my intelligence.
Okay. We can do that.
Sounds like you're trying to dominate person effect.
No.
I don't want to mind control him. I
We
want
don't
to.
just wanna
I-
make him feel a little bit.
All I want
Emotions.
is to not even call emotions because it's not fear. It's him just straight up not wanting to do it. Like even with calming his emotions, he would be like, "No, I don't want to get on that," and then we'd try to force him on, and suddenly calm emotions would break.
Looking at the suggestion box.
Yes, the suggestion box. That's it.
The suggestion spell is also a wisdom save. That works for 8 hours.
Okay, so this is something that makes someone. It doesn't directly control someone. It just makes them more susceptible to suggestions. Specifically in 3/5, it gives you a +4 circumstance bonus to gather information to get stuff out of them. So what I would equate that is basically being equivalent of a magic box that performs the Friends spell, where you get advantage on any charisma checks made against them while they are affected by the box.
I'm trying to persuade him to get on there.
If you wanted to make something more potent than that, you theoretically can.
Yeah.
But that will be.
That doesn't really make sense though, because I already know the friend spell theoretically.
So if you want to make something that will actively incapacitate,
Basically, I was just thinking of, it's flashy and shiny and fancy, and if he looks at it too long, he just kind of.
Just keeps
So yeah,
Follows it.
you're trying to
Have you ever seen?
you're trying to incapacitate.
Like, have you ever seen
Video
how
game.
you can? Have you ever seen? Have you ever seen how you can hypnotize chickens? Because apparently, like, if you put a chicken's head near the ground and then you draw a line in the sand, it just will sit there. It just won't do anything. Just sit there totally motionless.
People do weird things with chickens.
You're looking for the enthrall spell in a box.
Probably.
Only on an intelligence or a charisma save.
Ideally.
I mean, yeah, just something that kind of.
Chicken hypnotism has its own page on Wikipedia.
Yeah, no, seriously, the thing. It's a really weird mental tick, and nobody's quite sure why it works. But if you draw a line in the sand, starting from a chicken's nose and going forward, it just sits there.
Chicken is hypnotized in this manner, will remain immobile or for somewhere between 15 seconds to 30 minutes, continuing to stare at the line. Ethologists consider this state tonic immobility, a natural state of semi-paralysis that some animals enter when presented with a threat, which is probably a defensive mechanism intended to feign death, albeit rather poorly. This method was invented in 1646 in Mirabile Experimentium de Amagiaton Galene by... That name is even harder to pronounce than the book.
So they see the
Oh, there's multiple ways to hypnotize chickens.
see someone hypnotize the chicken like that just to get them to lay still while they chop their head off.
So enchantments tend to be illusions, and illusions tend to be intelligence.
We're not walking onto an airship. This is a mountain. It's a volcano. That's why it's rumbling.
Just make it look like a gigantic.
He's okay with those.
So yeah, so
Creature rather than an airship.
I just want to make something make it.
A giant flying whale.
Actually, just getting him drunk would be, you know.
Make him.
A giant flying battle whale.
You could make him think it's a giant flying battle whale. And that would probably be easier to get him onto than an airship.
That would be a better...
I'm very much intrigued by the different things you're going through to get the troll onto an airship.
Let me tell you what kind of spellcaster I'm not.
An illusion spellcaster.
So, creating a hypnotism box is probably going to be complex responsive.
That's 0.5 function difficulty, so...
Yeah.
Al Gore's former U.S. vice president created a technique consisting of drawing circles around the chicken's head.
Which you use
Yeah,
Why is Al Gore inventing a technique for chicken hypnotism?
No, it's Al Gore. That's like somebody else has been on Al Gore. It's like, here, Al Gore, look, see? All right, he's down.
All right. Back to where we were
Al Gore
at.
seems like the kind of guy who would get distracted by a lens.
It involved drawing circles around the chicken's head. So what you have to do is go up and be like, okay, John.
This is weird. We've done a lot of weird things. That was one of them.
So, and I will say that attempting to hypnotize someone has a function. Forcing someone to make an intelligence save. You're going to start it at DC 10. And that's function difficulty 1. To every point of DC is going to be 2 more function difficulty. So it'll be 3 for DC 11.
Tech score, you mean not...
Oh, sorry, tech score, yeah.
Yes.
It'll be tech score 3 for DC 11, 5 for 2 for 12, 7 for 13.
Cool.
So what DC are you making it? Tell us what the target number you're trying to hit is.
Ideally as high as possible.
Yeah, but what? Because those of us that aren't takers don't know how this works. So explain to us what you're rolling and what you're trying to hit.
Yeah. So ideally, getting this number as high as possible, because you're a level 12 tinker, so your max technology score that you could put into something would be a 13. So that would be what, an additional 6? So DC 16. Cool. So that'd be a DC 16. That's the only thing we really have to put into the box, right?
Right.
Cool.
How tough do you want to make it? Do you want to make it to the point that if someone prods it too hard, it'll just fall apart?
We just won't prod it too hard. We're already coddling this nonsense.
All right.
Who needs hit points?
Well, if we need it,
It needs at least one.
it needs at least one.
It might be a good thing.
It has at least
Outright.
one hit point by default. It has like maybe 10 hit points.
Well, I mean, it's going to be tough.
5 hit points. Don't breathe on it too hard.
Well, no, I mean, I don't know.
Like, this is
Well,
the kind of
I
thing
wanna
that
see
if you
the
drop
difference
it, it breaks.
The difference in to last as opposed to just anything that'll be too expensive.
Fine, we'll throw like an additional 20 hit points on top of it, because that's just 2 tech scores.
No, it doesn't have to.
Tech score times 10.
No, it doesn't need hit points.
Yeah.
It's not even. It doesn't need hit points.
Okay, so you agree it doesn't need hit points.
At the moment, it has 5 hit points.
Okay, 5
And
is
an
fine.
armor class of 14.
Fine, it's fine. Nobody's gonna hit it on me.
Hopefully.
If it falls 10 feet, it might break.
Yeah, that's okay. I mean, it's the.
Fine, 1 tech score will bring it up to like 15 hit points. Just in case. Just in case. It's 1 point.
That's
So-
an extra point of tech score.
Yeah. So let's see.
That's 14 total tech score.
Yeah. So the general formula is the highest tech score that you use, which is 13. Then you multiply that by. Yeah. No, that's the highest single thing we use. We multiply it by everything combined. So multiply that by 14, and then multiply that by 24, which is the 25, which is the function difficulty, which is 4,550. Now we worry about time factor and which is how long it takes to start it up. We don't have to worry about how long it takes to start up.
We can do it like 4 times. We can take a minute to start.
Well, actually, one of those things is going to
What's the default? What's the default unit of time here?
We're probably talking.
Start it.
To start it, you're probably talking actions. To start, it's a crank. Yeah, it's a crank kind of thing.
Yeah, sure, why not?
Sure, we can take like an entire minute on that and bring it up to like a 9 or a 10 or something.
Like that divided by time factor plus malfunction rating.
Which we're going to bring as low as possible, but
And that's before the cobble modifier. That's malfunction rating before the cobble changes.
what does the cobble change to again? Is that
I believe it just increases the malfunction rating by 1.
just
So we'll bring it down.
yeah?
So
So
bring it down to 1.
yeah, and then we'll
So we can.
that would 1 whole minute, so that would be divide all those numbers multiplied by 11 for 10 time factor and a 1 function rating.
So your complexity score is actually a little bit bigger of a number because you also need to add half the function difficulty to the complexity score.
Add half the function difficulty to what?
For when you get the complexity score that is all of the tech scores added together, you also add half the function difficulty to that.
Right. Have the function difficulty, that would be 25 divided by 2, that would be 12.
And round out.
Alright. So again, what's the target number you're rolling for and what are you rolling?
Still figure that
Multiply this whole.
Just figure out what it's worth right now.
We're still gotta figure out what it's worth.
God, Tag Tinker is complex.
It is the most complex thing that will ever be in any edition of D&D, but it's fun.
I mean, you know, okay, I'm gonna do all this nonsense again. Right, multiplying 13.
That's it. That's the problem with an all tinker party is that then we're all doing this math.
Right. Ouch. What did you do? Earthquake.
Somebody kicked the table?
Earthquake.
Or did something collapse?
Oh. Interesting.
So something collapsed.
Almost.
You're probably looking at a DC 20 to build.
And it was at
Don't
least
die in a
5.
fiery explosion trying to pull this thing out.
Where's my unbreaker?
That's a very specific question for a very non-specific item, Austin.
Oh, it's over here. Just troubleshooting.
You mean a drill
Yes. How do you unbreak things?
with glue, or staples, or rope, or duct tape, or electrical tape, or a screwdriver.
Okay, so do you want to bring this malfunction rating a little higher? Because this costs a lot.
I guess I'll land to 5.
Sure, what's the worst that could happen?
Making it a 6 after the cobble.
Sure.
Wait.
Because
How much?
it was going to be 740.
740. Oh, well, that's not bad.
You can barely do that.
Just bring that to
Barely. Because the problem is, then we don't have anything to actually make long-term project we want. We run out of ticket points for that.
But remember, you have to make half the market value to build this.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
half a bill. We know. No, because we have to make it to the whole goal.
Oh, yeah, I know, right? You're spending half the market value of material. You have to make to the
I
market
crap
value.
decently when I chain select on this table. Which is to say, screw the base to the rim.
On the other hand, if we had,
What do you want?
I like how we've spent
that,
the last 30 minutes trying to figure this out.
because what, that would just be, that'd be like 540, which is a lot easier to get to. If we did full malfunction rating 5,
Okay.
That's
Do
why
you
a lot
have-
of tinkers
do you
design
have
stuff
that?
with their
Do you
GM.
have that tinker ability, the cool under fire?
Yes.
You use it.
How about,
You built it. Yes, you still have
Okay.
performance
So it's
under
not
fire.
there.
I just don't remember what it does.
Okay.
It still lets you take 10, doesn't it?
I believe it does.
That's all I can do.
Because it's just you get it at a much higher level. Because I don't have it.
Yeah, at 11th level, you get cool under fire. Whenever you may roll to operate or repair a tech device and fail, you may expend a tech point to roll again, but you must accept the result.
Cool.
There's trying to take 10.
Yeah.
So you get a second chance.
You use
Well,
it.
no, because even if you roll advantage and still fail, you can roll a third time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and if
And you can keep spending tech points to retry, couldn't you?
So you must take the new result.
yeah, and that's the other thing. It's like
I have engineering at advantage anyway. And then so if within 3 rolls, I should be able to get over.
yeah, that's the other thing. With advantage, you take the higher regardless. With this, you take the second roll regardless.
Yeah, but if it's already a malfunction.
Yeah, but like if, for example, if you roll a 5, or if you roll a 6 and fail, you roll a second time, you roll a 1. You should have to take that one.
Yeah.
No, I know.
That's why it's not. That's why
You're lucky, but
Because I'm lucky.
You're not because
I
you're
can
lucky.
break the 1.
because you're lucky. But what I'm saying is that's why it's not advantage.
Anyway,
Regardless, so you build this crazy device.
we're done.
We don't know if they built it yet. They're still trying to figure out what they have to roll to build it.
Yeah. So what we have to roll? It's
looking at DC 20 is your build DC.
cool. You can make that easily.
So it's this is one.
Yeah.
So I just have to roll.
Aid another, you get advantage.
So. Oh, what's the cost again?
Hold on. That's
Market value.
market value is 540.
You raise the malfunction rating.
We raised it to 5, so it's a malfunction rating 6 items. So if we roll a 6 or lower,
Something
we get to roll on a
happens.
table.
Or I just choose what the malfunction is, depending.
Yeah.
Malfunction is 6.
Malfunction. It sends the troll into a rampage. Well, crap.
Back to plan A.
Good thing I have a new sword.
Well, the plan at that point would be calm emotions.
Alright.
Berserker range
I
came
gotta
to
roll a. I gotta get over a 20.
Lesser restoration.
Okay.
It's not a barbarian.
Okay, we're doing this before we leave, right? So we're doing that.
Well, that's why I said.
Yes.
That's why you have to clarify, because barbarian rage can be charmed. Berserker rage cannot be charmed.
Alright.
So plus
So,
15.
so your good troll friend
Plus mine, plus 2.
is currently sitting astride a scorpion.
The tools give advantage. Not plus 2.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
right. Okay, so
That's why you have that.
Getting used to this setup. So,
okay.
Snack friend is around troll friend's shoulders, who is
So I
sitting
can do
upon a
this. So
scorpion.
if I roll above a 5,
We'll paint the picture
yeah,
when they.
next time.
We'll paint the picture
Yes.
if they
So I say I gotta roll a 6 or better.
And you got advantage.
Yeah, I gotta roll 6 or better to do this.
Oh, we just turned off because the battery died. Never mind.
Hey, I got 2 18s.
You built it.
So I killed it. Okay,
We have to spend.
okay, we have. And was it 300?
I hope you wrote it down because my
I
laptop
wrote it down.
battery
I
just
wrote it
died.
down.
You should plug in the laptop.
And you make
That's why it dies.
2 days of progress on that first roll, so that's one less tech point you're gonna have to spend.
Okay, so 2, 216. So I got 216.
Stop you.
Okay.
So
I have
260, so that'll be
learned
5
the
tech
Algor
points.
chicken hypnotism.
No, that's no.
Why?
Is that already?
Because they're talking about making. I don't even remember what this box is supposed to do that they're making.
They're making that. They're making
It's to hypnotize you, so you feel a little better about getting on the ship.
Yeah, they're making.
It's not feeling better about getting on the ship. It's you end up getting on the ship.
They're making you a hypnotic pattern.
Okay.
So that you can be incapacitated and we can just sort of pick you up and put you on the ship.
All right.
It's in for all
Don't
box
care
for
about
that.
techniques.
Okay, so that's that. Okay. So we have this little box now.
Okay, so you successfully made the box. All right.
Well, we've done that
So
science.
you walk up on Garrick trying to explain to the troll that we need to get on the airship because it's literally the only way we have to get to the maelstrom.
And the
While
troll
he is astride the
is sitting on a scorpion.
How long is this thing going to last?
You're gonna have to make another roll for every minute of operation.
I made a
Let's
persuasion
get
check.
over. Let's just start.
We just have to get him on the ship.
It's an 18 persuasion check.
You have to get it right
To
before
convince you
we
that
He
get
is
to the
sincere
airship.
about what
Right.
what he's saying.
That's literally the only way to get there.
I get that part.
We need to get
We have to get him on
near the airship first.
Yeah, get him.
Because I have no idea
Okay, so-
when this is happening.
Okay, so we just need to start going toward the airship.
Or I'll say it takes a minute to start. It takes every 10 minutes of operation. You would need to make another roll.
Okay.
How far to the airship?
Probably about 20 minutes.
Okay, so let's
We can do it
walk
now.
over there.
No, we can do it now.
You'll be walking backwards, trying to guide him to the box. You're holding it very carefully to try not to drop it because you haven't reinforced it at all.
No, we did. We spent the one point on it.
You reinforced it a little bit.
That's 15 hit points. It'll be fine.
All right. So what do I need to roll to save?
So the goblin walks over and starts winding up a small box.
No,
Like, what is this goblin doing?
We'll line this up downstairs, and then we'll just walk up with the.
Walk over.
Like the goblin walks over with a box that he's finishing winding up, and he finishes winding it up and he holds it up to you, and the box sort of opens up on the front and there's this very flashing spiral pattern of lights that begins to play in your face. Roll me a charisma saving throw.
What's the DC?
16.
No, I rolled 17.
I think I'm at a -1 to my charisma.
Okay.
What'd you roll?
16.
16 total or 15 total?
15 total.
Okay.
I have a -1 to my charisma. I have an 8 charisma.
Box is shiny. You need to go out. You need to follow box.
Okay.
Okay.
We can get him on the airship.
I direct Scorponok to follow Box.
Roll me 2 more uses. You roll me 2 more saves.
2 more uses. Okay.
Well, that's a 4 on the die.
You gotta get
And this last save is like literally
On getting onto the ship. Yeah.
Oh,
like
no.
on the ramparts. That's another 16 on the die.
And no one deals any damage to the troll. So
So no. So you just you're sort of like starting to look off into the distance. I just grab your head. Box. Box. Box.
Hold on, I need to roll for Snake Friend to see how Snake Friend feels about me being hypnotized. Or would Snake Friend be being hypnotized as well?
Theoretically, because Snake Friend is sitting on your shoulders, roll 3 charisma saves for Snake Friend.
Snake Friend fails.
Charisma though.
Snake Friend fails. Snake Friend does have a way better charisma saving throw. Oh, that's like a 23.
Snake Friend succeeds on the ramparts of the ship.
Alright, now how does Snake Friend feel about me being hypnotized? Snake Friend shrugs his wings.
Light freak cares. So I'm just looking at the snake, starting to look over.
Yes, I'll pick him. I'll get it for him. I'm gonna leave the two of you in charge of that situation.
You tell the Warcraft hammer to take off immediately.
Heading to the maelstrom, Captain.
Alright, let's move. So the Warcraft hammer departs. Roll me one more use, just to see how long he stays like this after you've taken off. Is that a malfunction?
4 plus.
Hey, that's in the malfunction rating.
You want to
Yeah.
spend a tech point to keep it working.
Yeah, how many tech points left
Or
to
do you
spend?
care?
Yeah.
You gonna try coolness under fire?
Yeah.
Roll me
Because you
again.
would have spent 6 tech points, you would still have 6 left.
Okay. So you maintain operation.
I rolled a 0.
That's how long are you gonna try and keep him under this effect?
All the way there.
How long would that be?
A while.
Well, would be,
You're talking hours
is there a
here.
place? I mean, what do we ride on the deck, or is
And there is a below decks that is
we just get
sealed up.
Get them below decks.
It's actually it's much larger than a regular one.
Just instruct everybody every 10 minutes somebody needs to walk by and wind this up.
No, we just. I mean, once we get them on, so
Once we're at an altitude where he can't jump off.
yeah.
I mean, you can jump off, but at that point, it's his decision.
Within that next 10 minutes, you're at a decent soaring altitude and over the water. So if you want to shut the box off at that point.
Let Shiana explain to you on the bird.
We explicitly left it to you two. Bye.
I mean, we're inside. So
The orcs are up on deck.
we're not expecting to have
I'm
any problems.
working with Shauna to see how she likes this new claw thing that I'm going to be
So you
designing.
let the box wind down before it breaks.
Sure.
Okay.
Brick is pulling on some sails. Like,
Well, that was a 4 on my intelligence check to figure out what the heck just happened.
You don't know what happened, but you're suddenly in a boat.
No,
It rocks a lot.
Because we've gone from one room to another. You know,
This room rocks a lot. You can put together that it's some kind of boat.
Snake Friend got a 10 to try to convince me this is a good idea.
Does he convince you?
No. Troll Friend is going to be very sulky.
Oh.
is that?
You hope and pray that they never have to open the gun ports.
Yeah.
Because the gun ports are on the lower, like they're on the below decks of the ship, and they're just like these wide sections of the ship's hull that fold down, and then large guns slide out. So there's just open air on the below decks of the ship, and they have to open the gun ports.
I mean, to be fair, if they had to open the gun ports, it means that we're going to die anyway.
When we have to open the gun ports, the troll will be proven correct.
Oh no, we're pretty sure that you're right.
That-
We
that-
just don't have
that's-
other
that-
options.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's not that any of us disagree with you. It's that we've been
So the thing
we
is,
are repeatedly
the Orgrim's
catered to a
hammer
point
is
where it's-
designed to be shot at. It's a lot harder to bring it out of the sky.
It's not designed to be shot by Deathwing.
No, it's not.
We're not gonna,
It was-
probably not gonna-
The Orgrim's hammer was built for the war on Icecrown.
Yeah.
It was specifically built to fight the Scourge.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Absolutely. So it's that none of us disagree with the troll. The problem is that none of us have any other options either.
Alright.
return sometime in the future. Whether it's spring-ish? Well, I'm just talking about in-game, whether we return immediately after this or whether we move to later on after you've completed several of these tasks. Something else on the horizon. We'll see when we come back.
Gosh, why is there always so much all next week? But then the following week, we will be picking up, returning to Untethered, where people have found themselves in a very happy world, full of joy, and absolutely no mind-boggling ancient entities that cause you to explode.
What's the system we're playing in?
Call of Cthulhu?
Yeah.
I'm already insane.
Oh yeah, Cthulhu. He's been calling a lot.
Well, we're gonna have to answer. Now we will
Darkness
not,
call.
there will not be a stream.
But I wasn't near the phone, so.
So he went to voicemail. Darkness went to voicemail.
We will not be having a stream next week. There will not be anything in this time slot next week. We got to that, we'll be back. So say goodbye, everybody.
I really hope when they finish the Warcraft 3 remaster, all of the Darkness Call jokes are still there.
Farewell.